And so there we were, the only two film buffs in a sea of Marvel fans, and we were gonna fight the system, man. The goddamn cookie-cutter film podcasters and YouTubers sucking the dicks of Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and every other basic-ass franchise there is, as if they needed any more publicity, thinking that the stars would notice them. We were the anarchists, the agents of chaos who watched anything and everything else. We were just a couple of KFR punks. The following podcast contains spoilers for SLC Punk. You have been warned.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the fathomless creation that is the mind, and Benjamin Button here, along with the other freaking anarchists, man. We're out here, we're doing it. Miguel Magusto.
I'm sorry, you struggled with that so much.
I did. My brain melted halfway through. I felt it seeping out of my ear.
That's hilarious. I can't even get into what I was gonna. I don't even remember what I was gonna
acid.
Do. Yeah.
Damn.
How you doing, Glenn?
I am okay, my man. Just working so hard, babysitting houses and stuff. Ugh.
Yeah, and not even utilizing my utilities, my
such
amenities.
A piece of shit.
You are. But I know you used it a little bit. What did you use my movie room for this weekend while I was away?
Very briefly, I used it. Before I had done that, I've been trying to catch up on Obi-Wan, which I am now at episode 4. I got to start watching that because I know there's episode 5. I think 6 is releasing tomorrow, which is an hour and a half long, so I got to catch up on that. But catching up on that, I still feel the same. I think I talked about it last week. The Boys is excellent. I'm loving every second of it. And it's just such a good little time. We watched Lightyear together. There is a review up on the Skididdly Winks called YouTube. Don't even know what that means, but I did utilize your movie room for one special occasion. Technically 2 special occasions. I watched the 47 Ronin, which is split into 2 parts, at least on HBO Max, because it's a 4-hour runtime. And I don't know what intrigued me to do it. I was just like, I watched the Keanu one, and I want to see what the original's all about. And, I watched the shit out of it while uploading a bunch of highlights to YouTube and stuff like that. So it was passing the time.
Yeah.
While I'm staring at a loading screen, just uploading stuff. But it was really good. A lot of exposition, though.
Yeah.
But, this was made in 1941. I was really hoping for... There's one point where they kind of storm a castle, and I was really hoping that they would at least show some of that action. But it goes almost the whole movie's exposition and them just talking to each other, and then they talk about doing it, and then it happens. But they're coming back from the storming of the castle, they're just walking up to this grave, and I'm like, fuck, not even a little tease of anything?
Yeah.
Nothing. That's
interesting.
Kind of the biggest flaw of taking away. I was going to give this a 4.5 or a 5, but because they didn't even show a little snippet of anything going on, it kind of sad. But it was a really great movie. Everybody was fantastic. And I'm not going to try to butcher a name right now, and I want to move on. But basically the lead actor in this, oh my god, he was so good. He had such a warming smile that it was so good. But that was 47 Ronin, very fantastic. And then of course we watched your movie this week. But Mike, I know you watched a few, my silly man.
I did watch a few, probably not as much as normal because I was gone for 3 days on vacation. First off, when you said you watched 47 Ronin, I immediately thought you were talking about the Keanu Reeves version.
I want to rewatch it now. That is a thing.
It's probably not great, but I haven't seen it, so I can't really say anything. It's got Keanu, and that's all that matters.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah. But I watched 8 movies, including rewatches. The first one I watched was Animal House. First time I'd ever seen that. And while it is good, I don't understand why it's so beloved.
I have to rewatch that too, because I think I watched that at one point. I was just like, I'm not paying attention to this at all.
It's just like it's interesting to watch, but it's not really funny. Like, I even asked like my friends on Facebook. I was like, "This is a legitimate question. I'm not trying to knock anyone, but when you saw Animal House in the '70s in theaters, were people like gut busting laughing, or were they just going, "Oh, that's amusing"? Because like, I can't see anyone like laughing their ass off watching this, except for maybe one or two parts. But like, nothing like you see with like The Hangover or Step Brothers nowadays, where people are literally laughing so hard that it sometimes is easy to miss things. But it's a fine movie. It did not age well at all, but it is what it is. It's a good independent comedy from 1978, I guess. But I am still a little baffled why it's so beloved when there's such funnier movies from the 70s back then. But yeah, just my opinion. Then I rewatched The Iron Giant with my boy. Because I told you this after the recording. One of the options, had you picked it, would have been The Iron Giant, because I've been wanting to rewatch it. And so I rewatched it with my boy.
And I had just rewatched it myself like 2 weeks ago too.
Yeah, it's a solid movie. I love it.
So good, man.
I love it. Yeah, it's really good. So that's why I rewatched it. Then for my 1001 movies series I'm doing, Cinema Bucket List, available on YouTube, I watched The Bank Dick. This is going to be part of the July episode. It's the Bank Dick as in like bank detective.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Yeah. It's from 1940. It's a comedy. This, I read a review on Letterboxd that summed it up perfectly. It's Dad Joke the movie.
I gotta watch it.
Because every joke is like a dad joke, and it's great, and it's stupid, and it's very like. There's this part where he's a like a security officer in a bank and everything, and this kid has a toy gun that is very obviously a toy gun, and he attacks the child. And it's so funny. Physical violence in a movie against a child is hilarious. In real life, it's sad.
Of course.
In real life, it's very sad, but in a movie, it's hilarious. And he just went, I thought that thing was loaded. And the kid's mom went, no, but clearly you are. Yeah, just stupid,
I love it.
really stupid like jokes like that. It does take a while to get into. Like it's a slow start, but once it gets going, it's really funny. Then for the 1001 movies, I watched On the Town, which is your typical 1940s musical romance thing about three sailors who are on the town looking for women in New York during their one day of furlough in New York City. It is everything I hate about 1940s movies in one movie, so I did not quite like it. I understand why people like it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Because it's literally everything I hate about 1940s movies. Then I watched Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush from 1925. This was also for the 1001 movies you must see before you die. The tramp goes to Alaska to look for gold, and it is it is just as hilarious as you would expect from Charlie Chaplin and the tramp.
Chaps there.
Yeah, it has the infamous or the famous dinner roll dancing scene in it. That's where that's where it comes from, is the Gold Rush. But yeah, that is also going to be on July's episode of Cinema Bucket List. Then for 1001 movies you must see before you die, I rewatched Akira. That is an anime. For those of you who don't know, if you know me, I don't really particularly care for anime. This is probably the closest I get to liking anime is with Akira.
Yeah.
And it still has the same pacing problems that I have with anime. That's my biggest problem with anime, is the pacing, because I don't think they pace their movies very well.
Yeah, that's again another one I'd have to rewatch. It's been a very long time since I watched it.
But like, it's really good, and except for a few parts here and there, and then it ends 20 minutes after it should have ended. So it's just stuff like that. It is in all of anime. It's not just Akira. It's just like they draw things out too much. And
you got to see what life is like after the thing that we all watched happen.
Yeah, and I also hate the 12 frames per second animation style. You know, instead of doing 24 frames per second like normal film is, they only animate 12 frames per second. I hate that jittery style. Again, just me personally. The art itself is beautiful, but the animation sucks. And that is where I will leave my opinion on anime. But you can find out more of my thoughts on that and whether or not becomes or stays on the cinema bucket list in July's episode. Then I watched Lightyear with you, my boy, Glenn Button. We have a review for that on the YouTube's Skiddery Doo or whatever you said.
Skedaddle, but I don't remember. Whatever.
Yeah, so you can check out our review for Lightyear on there. And then I rewatched SLC Punk, which we're going to get into right now.
I love living in the city!
Meet Steve-O and Bob. They were the only two punks living in Salt Lake City.
Ooh, we come from the east.
What the hell are you?
We're from England.
England.
That's probably why we seem so weird to you, man.
Their only way to understand the world was to be totally misunderstood. And when you're living in the most conservative city in America, do you A, conform?
This rebellion thing you're going through, I understand it, not completely, but I respect it.
B, learn to cope?
I am the future. I am the future of this great nation.
Steven, I didn't sell out, son. I bought in.
Or C,
Is he gonna be okay?
Oh, yeah, he'll be fine, I'm sure. Thank you, though.
none of the above?
In the early 1980s, Steve-O and Heroin Bob are the only two dedicated punks in a conservative Salt Lake City. Written and directed by James Marandino, it stars Matthew Lillard, Michael A. Gorgian, Annabeth Gish, Jennifer Lean, Christopher McDonald's in there, Devin Sawa, Jason Segel. Or Jason Segel.
Seagal.
No, I was reading Seagal and then looked over at the next guy, and it's Adam Pascal.
Yeah.
So, and then Till Schweiger's in there as well. A bunch of people that you would probably recognize. Here we go. McNally Seagal is in there, as well as the mom. And it is a movie from the 90s about the punk scene in Salt Lake City. That is what I already said that already because it's the thing. But there we go. I had watched this movie back in college, I believe was the first time I watched it. Back then, when I had no responsibilities, I would just buy movies without ever seeing them. I would buy the DVD and be like, let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
Had I actually rented a movie from Blockbuster might still be around because I did that so often that I probably could have kept a Blockbuster afloat by myself. That's not true. They still would have closed. But
No.
yeah, this is one of those.
We have a mission. So.
This is one of those movies where and it doesn't the poster and cover art for it isn't the greatest, so it looks like it's not going to be great. But I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it. So that's why I picked it, and I want to know your thoughts, Sweet Glenjamin Button. What did you think of SLC Punk?
You aren't wrong about the poster. It is very deceiving on what the actual movie's like, and almost entirely. It's not even very punk. It's kind of a terrible poster, period.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a very surprising movie. Very, very fun. Very punk. It honestly. Watching it, a lot of the soundtrack made me sit there and think, man, if Tony Hawk, like Pro Skater 1, 2, or 3 had a story, this would be somewhere in there if they had skateboards at all. Just the soundtrack of this and just how crazy these guys are. And they don't even skateboard once. But if they did, I swear to God, it made me feel like I was watching a Tony Hawk Pro Skater story movie or something. It was great.
Yeah, Aaron Bob even gives off like Bob Burnquist vibes.
Yeah, it's very goofy. Very not what I was expecting in the slightest. Not saying that you were going to pick a bad movie for us, but dude, Matthew Lillard and almost everybody. I fucking love Christopher McDonald. Just period.
He's great. He's a great underrated actor.
He's a very underrated actor, and he's one of my favorite like yellers ever. Just like as soon as he starts yelling, it's just like, oh man, that's he's gonna just say something like crazy, and it's just gonna be hilarious.
Yeah.
So as soon as he gets that pitch where it's like, I told you 1 minute to come on. I'm always sitting there laughing. I'm always waiting for the moment he's just gonna break and just snap it and start yelling at people.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, super fun movie. Like very even emotional, like period. Just kinda,
yeah, that's the thing that kind of catches you off guard. We'll get to that later.
Yes, of course.
But it does have some pretty good emotional moments. The overall arcing story of this is just kind of like growing up and kind of letting go of your perception of the world and accepting reality, for better or for worse. And the thing that I think the best thing about this movie is there are so many memorable characters in this, like from Steve-O to Heroin Bob, to Mike, which is played by Jason Segel, Mark, the German drug dealer guy. All of them are very memorable characters, and just kind of all are on their own. This has really good character work from all the actors involved. Specifically, the thing that I want to point out is the juxtaposition between Jason Segel's character and everyone else. Because Jason Segel is like, you would look at him and think he's the least violent one.
Yep.
And he's the most violent.
He's the most violent one. He looks like a nice Christian son.
Yeah.
He's got his glasses on and his polo shirt. And then he just beats the shit out of a bouncer. yeah.
It's just great. And it does a really good job at, like, while these characters in real life would annoy the shit out of you, it really does a good job at, like, making you be on their side and kind of seeing things from their viewpoint. And while also showing that they are flawed people, obviously. It's not like they're perfect. Yeah. Far from perfect. But, you know, coming from a religious household myself, my parents, while religious, are relatively laid back. Kids I grew up with in my church, their parents were harder to please than my parents were when it came to how they behaved and everything.
Yes.
And but like I totally connect with the wanting to rebel from your religious surroundings, such as in this, rebelling from this, being surrounded by a Mormon-controlled state, when I think they said less than 1/3 of the population of Utah is Mormon. I don't remember the exact number they say, but like that is such like a frustrating thing, or would be a frustrating thing. I've never experienced that, where you're like constantly being oppressed or forced to partake in another person's, the minority's beliefs. With the Church of Latter-day Saints, to the point where their beer had less alcohol, so they had to go to Wyoming to get normal beer.
Had like 3 instead of 6.
Yeah, so like I completely connected with that frustration, to the point where you would rebel, maybe overcorrect even, to the point where you're severely maniacally violent at times. But yeah, it's despite all of its serious undertones and social commentaries, it is a fun, energetic movie that it rewards multiple viewings, and I enjoy it just as much this time as I did the first time.
Very educational in the sense of like just exploring the characters, even though one person's like kind of explaining who this person is, and like how Matthew Lillard just narrated everything. He's like, yeah, but like he was very like educational, and like after he was done talking, you kind of just understood that person more and stuff like that. That was really cool, his narrating. Normally I don't really like that, when just break the third wall or fourth wall. Jesus, I'm an idiot. Anyway,
fourth wall, yeah.
When they break the fourth wall and just kind of like acknowledge your existence. I'm like, hey, yeah, this is but this did it really well, and just an overall fun time as far as it goes. Because I don't even know how many punk films I've seen. I think we've talked about at least 1 or 2.
We did Bomb City, which was like one of our first ones, and then Green Room. Did we do that on here?
We didn't review it, but we have watched and talked about it a lot.
Okay, but we've done I feel like we've done one more on the podcast specifically that I can't think of, but definitely at least Bomb City.
It's somewhere in there, but this is so far my favorite punk movie, reviewing or not, that I've watched. It's just very fun,
Even better than Green Room?
It's tough. Yeah, this was
different.
fun.
It's very different.
It was definitely different.
Yeah, like Green Room is a horror movie. This is a comedy with some dramatic elements. So
yeah, and then it's just you felt connected to Steve-O and Bob, and then once we get down the road, we're still good there, but you're traveling with them the whole time. Steve-O's having this kind of midlife crisis on whether he should just continue the path of being a punk, but he's never acknowledged that and calling Bob a poser for changing his ways. And then he's sitting there this whole time, the last couple of years, contemplating, is this what I want to be doing? And having a inner crisis. It's just really cool to just go along with that and then see where it goes. And then it gets sad.
It does get sad.
That bastard sadness.
We're going to keep teasing the sadness because I want to talk about the parents.
We're going to keep
in this movie, it would be so easy for his parents to be ashamed and angry and not have good relationships. But I love the fact that Steve-O has a good relationship with his parents in this.
Yeah,
because they're supportive, and while they don't understand it, they're we respect it. We're going to let you do your own thing. This is what we think you should do. It would be so easy for them to just kick him out of their house or disown him or whatever. But
they trust that he's a good kid, even no matter what his ways are. They're you're a good kid, and he's poking fun at his dad the whole time, and his dad literally water off a duck's back. It's just
I didn't sell out. I bought in. I didn't sell out. I bought in.
Yep.
But they had some really great things, especially in the opening scene where they were trying to be cool. That whole scene was just funny. But Christopher McDonald said one thing that was absolutely hilarious. He was talking about his mohawk because there's a flashback to when Steve-O had a mohawk. And he says, people from Utah might understand this, but they won't get it in New York, which is hilarious because it's the complete opposite of reality. Because the people in New York would absolutely, at the very least, ignore the fact that someone has a mohawk.
They literally would not care.
Whereas people are staring at him with daggers walking around Utah. So just that is really funny. But there's, again, with the characters, there's so many quirky things with these characters. Mark, played by Til Schweiger, the German rich drug dealer, him going around showing all his trinkets and everything and talking like a Best Buy salesman. And then when he pulls out the gun because he's paranoid, that whole sequence is just comedy gold in my opinion. And it's just great.
There's not really many people in this that are unlikable in any way either.
Everyone has at least one redeeming quality.
Yeah, depending on your views as a standpoint, they might do things that you don't like, but as far as they go, they're not unlikable characters.
Yeah,
because there's usually something about them that is just either makes you laugh or just makes you definitely want to talk to them in some sort of manner.
Yeah. Definitely. One thing I thought was interesting, which I didn't really catch on to until this time around, and I want to get your thoughts on this. The whole idea of this movie is that Steve-O hates Salt Lake City and is feeling oppressed in it and everything. And he always talks about how much he hates it and everything, but then would also shit on people for leaving and making him feel more alone. And he even gets angry, hypocritically angry at Bob when Bob says that while it sucks, it is home and everything, and I kind of like it because it's home, and he gets angry at that. And I think he subconsciously loved Salt Lake City, and that's why he went to the University of Utah instead of getting out, and he ultimately created his own prison because he forced himself to stay in this place. And it's that whole fear of not wanting to let go of your home and childhood and everything, and there's a deeper meaning to it than I ever picked up on the first two times I watched it. I think this is the third time I watched it. I just thought that was interesting, No,
I mean, it is interesting. There's conversations, or not conversations that I have with people here, but when people tell me they're like, I need to get the fuck out of here, like this area, Chester County, like at least. Coatesville, like I could understand, like sure, get out of Coatesville, but they're like, I need to get the hell out of Pennsylvania, man. This place sucks. I'm like, you're in the best part of it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I understand like maybe wanting to go somewhere else, but like they're like, this place sucks, man. There's nothing going on. It's just stupid. I'm like, have you gone 15 minutes that direction?
Yeah, guess what?
West or north? It's terrible.
When you don't have money, there's nothing going on anywhere. Mm-hmm. That's the whole world. Like,
yep.
I've lived in 3 states now, California. Granted, I don't really remember California, but I've gone back enough to know what living in California is because my mom's family is from there. And I lived in Florida. And every single place you live, you get to the point where you're just like, well, there's nothing to do.
Yeah. I mean, like it all comes to preference. Like me, like here, I love it here. Yes, it can get boring at times. And, but like you literally go anywhere in Chester County or whatever, and like you're probably going to find something you like. Virginia, I will say, was overwhelming. I adapted a little bit, but it was still pretty overwhelming even when I adapted to it. Mm-hmm. And, I couldn't imagine living anywhere else in Pennsylvania, but, there's still a whole bunch more states that I could have gone to.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand why people don't want to be here, but, like, I think they take it for granted of how good it actually is here.
Yeah, I don't think they realize that there are places in the country, places that you don't think would happen, and places in Europe, too, that everything closes at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
Like, we're lucky to live in a place where most things don't close until 11 or midnight, and then some things stay open 20. We got Wawa, the Golden Goose, literally. The Golden Goose.
Literally.
For those of you who don't know, the logo of Wawa is a goose. But when I went to Ireland, I was in Dublin, the biggest city in Ireland. We got out of a show at 9 p.m. and could not find an open restaurant except for an American-themed restaurant.
Yeah.
And it was only open
because you telling me that too.
It was only open because it was American themed. Mm-hmm. So I don't think, and there's places like that in this country as well, where things close at sometimes even 6 p.m. There's this place I go to every year with my friends, and Monday through Thursday, everything closes by 6 p.m. And then on weekends they close at 10 p.m. So it's a little leeway there, but like. People really around here who complain, and I get it. If this is the only place you've lived or the only place you've spent significant time to, you get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. That's natural.
If you've literally been stuck in the same place for almost 20 plus years, understandable.
But that's what
go
traveling's
somewhere else,
for.
like literally go 20 minutes down the road and spend some time there. You look at the things going on in that place. Like you connected with him. Like he called people a poser for wanting to move, but he hates the place that he's at. You feel that. Like, sure, do I want to live in other places? He called people
poser for saying they like the place, too.
Yep. Yeah. So, like, sure, do I want to move other places? Yeah, that'd be cool. Do I hate this place? And do I understand? A little bit from time to time. But, like, you completely connect with him on that part. But, like, he's in denial of himself. I'm not in denial of myself. But, like, you can understand and, like... just relate to it.
Yeah, you relate to it, but like I don't agree with it. I also have had the pleasure of being able to travel other places. I know not everyone has that luxury of being able to like go abroad or anything, but like when you're able to vacation and go places, you do understand or you appreciate where you're from a little bit more.
And, even that, like if you go to a place that you absolutely love. Like, everybody, for some reason, wants to move to Florida. I go to Florida.
Florida fucking sucks.
Florida sucks.
Florida sucks ass. If you're from Florida, I'm sorry, but your state fucking sucks.
But, like, from anybody who goes there for, like, a week or 2 weeks or whatever, they're like, I fucking love this place. It's amazing. I'm like, I don't think it's going to be amazing if you move there. I'm like, sure, people will like it.
It's amazing because you weren't working. Mm-hmm. You weren't living a normal life. You were living a fantasy life.
Yeah, you were just going on vacation.
Yeah,
everywhere.
If you don't have to work, anywhere's great. Let's just all quit our jobs, man.
That would be great. The anarchy.
Oh, we solved it. We cracked the code.
Full circle.
Yeah, but when let's get into the sad bits now. It was such a shock. This was one of, I don't know if this movie was ever spoiled for you, but this is one of the few like cult movies that was not spoiled for me. I notoriously, for some reason, always find spoilers for things.
It was not spoiled for me, but before we get into that, there's a character named Heroin Bob who is deathly afraid of needles. His name is just straight ironic.
Yeah.
He's deathly afraid of needles. He doesn't do drugs.
He doesn't even take Advil or anything.
Yep, nothing.
Yeah.
And he's just a paranoid dude who hates all that stuff. And then just to get the character a little bit. And he's in the punk scene. He's doing his thing, surrounded by these people who do drugs. And then Mike, take it from there. I can't go on much further.
Can't go on. So tragically, at a party, people who are listening to this should know this already, but he's at a party and he's drinking, but he has a headache. So he trusts someone who gives him what they call vitamins to help his headache, but it's actually a pharmaceutical drug. I forget what drug they say it is, but it's something that you should not mix with alcohol.
Yeah.
And he takes...
I literally just looked it up not that long ago.
Yeah, he takes a bigger dose than what is suggested. And Percodan, yeah. I don't know what that's for, but it has a name that doesn't sound good. Mm-hmm. But he has a overdose because of his mixing that with alcohol, and that scene where Steve-O finds him is just heartbreaking. Where he just breaks down, and he just like immediately knows, and just kind of like feels guilt of the kind of forcing him into this lifestyle, even though he didn't really force him in the lifestyle. It's just a bunch of survivor guilt that came pouring down on him, and it's just such like a heartbreakingly beautiful ending for such a funny movie for the most part. It's just, it comes out of nowhere, but it's not shocking either. It's like it feels like something bad is going to happen for a while, and then it finally does, and it's so impactful the way they do it. And Matthew
especially
Lillard,
how hard Matthew Lillard went too. In his little crying fit. Oh my God! I was sitting there.
I wasn't
like,
ready
retching.
for this. Like that line, I wasn't ready for this. Is so. I feel like, I don't know if you've ever had a close friend die. I haven't had a close friend die, but I had someone.
I've had a few friends that I went to school with that passed away.
Yeah. When I was in,
especially like one right after we graduated, which was pretty hard, but no super close friends.
When I was in 6th grade, a kid that went to my church died in a dirt biking accident, and like, while we weren't really close, we had spent time together, and it just that feeling of mortality when you're young and full of life. It hits you so hard, like harder than it normally does, and it's just, Matthew Lillard acted that beautifully, and it just kind of puts a nice little cap on everything. And
literally that scene alone just made it like his best performance that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, he was really good in this movie, especially that part. Just sealed the deal and kissed it on the cheek for me.
Yep, smooch.
But yeah, that was a really wrenching scene. And then just what happens after too. It was like we've been waiting for that, and he's been talking about it the whole time. And then he finally kind of follows his own path.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
He kind of realizes, I mean, this is a thing that, like, yes, in a perfect world, anarchy is the best form of government, but the world is not perfect. Humanity is not perfect. And he kind of realizes that it's anarchy is never going to happen, especially in a way that is healthy for people.
Yeah.
So he accepts his fate as someone within the system, questioning the system constantly, which is honestly the best thing for someone like him. And he does so much growing up within the span of the movie, and it's a really strong coming of age movie.
Yeah.
I can't speak any higher about this movie. It's really good, really underrated. I too many people I know that love movies have not seen this movie, and I wish more
Definitely
people would see
underrated.
it.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah, I know. I remember you
this.
saying that. Yeah, I'm glad I got to show it to you.
I'm glad you showed me.
Yeah, but one last thing I have to say, and this is just kind of a fun fact I didn't realize until this time around. Brandy, the girl that Matthew Lillard's character kind of falls in love with at the end at the party before Heroin Bob dies, that is Summer Phoenix, and that is Joaquin Phoenix's sister.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Has she been in anything since? Really?
Yeah, she has been. She's been in probably nothing we would know too well. Yeah, I can't even. I mean, the Laramie Project I know of because it's a play. I've never seen the movie, but I know the play, the Laramie Project.
Yeah.
Other than that, I haven't really seen anything that she's. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not noticing anything that sticks out either.
Yeah.
Damn.
I thought she was, and her role was very small, but she did a pretty good job at like being a believable character that would make someone question their own personality without insulting them. Like she did it very delicately, and I thought she was she performed it very well.
Yeah.
It was
like
very
kind of
believable.
almost exactly what he needed in that moment.
The person that he needed to kind of calm him down and make him kind of realize that he's going to die if he keeps going on that trajectory. And then, of course, Heroin Bob dies that night and kind of seals that whole deal even faster than it would have with Brandy. But yeah, beautiful movie. Can't speak highly enough about it. And I'm glad that you really enjoyed it.
I'm glad I enjoyed it too.
That does it for our review for SLC Punk. That brings us to the judgment, whether or not it becomes a shelf boy with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision. So since this was my choice, I get to go first. I think it's very clear from how I spoke of this movie, even in last week's episode when I said we're going to be watching this one, that it's very underrated. It's got great performances, has an emotional punch that you don't see coming, really. And it's just a fun, independent punk movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, but also is serious in the moments it needs to be. So it's kind of a perfect combination of everything, and I think it absolutely goes on the list.
I believe that you're correct. It's just a genuinely surprising movie. Not
especially
that,
with that horrible poster.
Yeah, especially with the horrible poster. There's not too many movies where you get to see Matthew Lillard shine like this. Sadly,
and he's a great actor too.
And he's an excellent actor. Yeah. And this was kind of one of those, literally the best performance I've seen from him. And I would definitely rewatch this again. No doubt about that in the slightest.
Faux show. So, SLC Punk goes onto the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden, and that brings us to our assignment for next week. Glenn Jumin Button the Third. It is your choice this time. What are we watching?
Going with a little bit of a horror thriller, my guy.
Ooh, spooky.
Hour and a half long. It is called The Girl Next Door.
Not
it
the
is
one, not the comedy with Emil Hirsch.
Not that really good one, no. But yeah, a little bit of warning. At least, I just heard about this movie today, and I've read some comments about it. How this is based off of at least some real life things that had happened.
No. Is this about? Oh man, oh man, yeah. I think it is. I think I know what this is about. Fuck.
So yeah, it's about those things.
I'm trying to remember what her name is.
The Girl Next Door, rated R, 2007, follows the unspeakable torture and abuses committed on a teenage girl in the care of her aunt and the boys who witness and fail to report the crime. Directed by Gregory Wilson, written by Daniel Ferranz, Philip Nutman, and Jack Ketchum. It stars William Atherton, Blythe Offarth, Blanche Baker, Kevin Chamberlain, and some other. Oh, is that Mark Margolis? Is that who I think that is? Is that what? It's the guy from goddamn Breaking Bad, the guy in the wheelchair. My guy.
Yeah. He's also in a bunch of Darren Aronofsky
really great
movies.
movie to be in, but
What are you doing, bitch? Your sister is a goddamn bitch.
Nothing I ever do is right.
Doesn't sound like the roof I know.
Not so fun when it's your precious sister getting slapped around. Teach you to pick on people your own size.
You brought a cop here. After my mother!
Best policy, mind your own business. That's how you stay out of trouble.
So you think any more about it? About what? Getting big into the game? We got our own game now.
You want to think about one thing, girl. Well, two things, actually. First, it could be your little sister hanging here instead of you. And second, I know some of the bad things you've done, and I'm kind of interested to hear them, so maybe this confessing isn't such a kid's game after all. I can hear it from the one of you, or I can hear it from the other. You just think about that.
But yeah, I had seen this was actually like a TikTok recommendation. I follow this one guy who just recommends a bunch of things, and I saw he recommended The Girl Next Door. I'm like, damn, I watched that movie. That's good. He's like, not that one. I'm like, oh shit. And
let me just double check. Yeah, this is based on the murder of Sylvia Likens, a 16-year-old girl who was tortured and murdered by her caregiver. And this is one of two movies about this. From my understanding, the one with Catherine Keener and Elliot Page called An American Crime is better, but this one is probably...
And that was another one I had on the list, but I wasn't going to make us do a double feature. I was going to pick one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to go with a crime type movie, and of course I went with the unholy one, of course.
Yeah.
Unholy
Not
types.
looking forward to it, although I think An American Crime follows it more closely, because I think they actually go by the names of the characters and not made up names.
So
yeah, they do. So that one's probably closer to the truth than this one.
Yeah, so
which I guess is a blessing we're watching this one.
A little bit of a red flag on this movie in case you're sensitive to the types of things. I haven't obviously seen it yet. I don't know what it's going to be like, but thought we could change it up and get a little darker on the channel for a brief second.
Yeah, I can tell you this much. If you are sensitive to abuse of any kind, don't even read about Sylvia Likens. It is horrible what happened to her. And I guess we're going to watch a movie based on it.
Yeah.
Woo. Woo. Oh, William Atherton, he's in Biodome. Woo. Woo. Anyway, so where can we watch that again? I'm sorry.
It is, I believe it said Amazon Prime and it's on Netflix. Yep.
Amazon Prime and Netflix. So, The Girl Next Door is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Twitter, Keystone_film. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. YouTube, Keystone Film Review. TikTok, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I'm Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we are two sad boys talking about really a very sad thing in a very sad way. And probably anytime we just accidentally make a joke because it is our nature to do so, we will feel bad.
I'm going to start crying on the spot.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.